Now there are two negative points that goes against the Trident, and the Tiger more than compensates for these 2 points as well. Welcome back to my channel. When the Trident was built by Triumph, it was built from ground up. The chassis, the engine, everything was built from ground up, and it was built in such a way that it could be a versatile machine. It could have various variants. Now, when the Trident was launched around a year ago, Triumph had hinted that it would come out with an off-road variant as well. And this was anticipated by all the automobile enthusiasts. And now, as of today, we've already seen the spy images of the upcoming adventure variant called the Tiger 660. So this bike is basically everything the Trident is and much more. It gets all the good qualities of the Trident, and there are two aspects of the Trident that I personally dislike, and these are the two aspects that have been covered up. Let me explain the plus points first. Number one, the engine. The engine has been built from scratch. The Trident's engine is basically built for people to commute in cities and their occasional weekend rides. So Triumph has really emphasized on the low end and top end torque. Yes, there's a little flat spot in between, but the low end and top end torque is really commendable. The Tiger 660 will inherit this engine characteristic. Knowing Triumph, there may be a little tweaking in terms of the initial and mid-range torque as well, but that we'll get to know only once we get the bike. It's like the similar case of the Versus versus the Ninja 650. The Versus has the same 650cc engine but tweaked with reference to its character. So knowing Triumph, I'm pretty sure there will be a little tweaking over there. Second quality of the Trident, it's got two riding modes. Pretty sure these two modes will come in handy for the Tiger, and I'm assuming there may be an off-road mode as well. Number three is the slipper clutch, and once you're used to the slipper clutch, it's a convenience at another level. Number four is the growl, the engine exhaust of the Trident, which is again, it's just music to anyone's ears. And especially considering the adventure category or the soft road category in the 600cc market in India currently, it's only dominated by inline or V twin cylinder bikes, which they cannot come even close to the exhaust note that the Tiger 660 would be producing. Number five, it's got a very smart display, and there are already spy shots of the similar display being showed in the Tiger 660. Like number six, I personally like the riding position of the Trident. It's got a very wide handlebar and kind of makes you feel you are in control with the bike. It makes you feel you are in sync with the bike. I'm assuming the Tiger will also get a similar riding position. So these are six positive points that the Tiger is absolutely going to inherit. Now there are two negative points that goes against the Trident, and the Tiger more than compensates for these 2 points as well. Number one, especially in a developing country like India, these are bikes that we aspire. Unlike countries like UK, where these are like mid-level bikes, we look at the KTM 390s or the Apaches is the same way the people abroad look at the Trident 660. It is that affordable to them. But for us, obviously, we got to save a lot to purchase these bikes. So in India, we require a bike that not only is an amazing all-rounder, which the Trident is, but it should look as expensive as you have purchased it. Now, if you put a Ninja 650 against a Trident, even though the Trident may beat the Ninja considerably in quite a few aspects, the one place that the Ninja completely destroys the Trident is in the looks department. The Ninja at least looks like a 650cc or even a 800cc bike. The Trident looks more like a 500cc bike at best. Now I understand the design is built compact and it makes sense for people to use it on an everyday basis. But in a country like India, looks matter. And this is where the Tiger 660 comes in. The Tiger 660 looks like a 600 plus cc bike. It's got an amazing large windscreen. The looks is a mix between British and Italian looks, because I personally feel the front end looks more like an Aprilia, which I'm saying in a good way. The overall design clues looks like it's an adventure bike, and it'll be a definite plus, especially for Indian buyers. Number two, the thing of the Trident I did not like, and this is the most irritating aspect of the Trident, is the suspension setup. The suspension works amazing if the roads are even, without any potholes, without any unmarked speed breakers, or without any uneven parts of the roads, which we know 99% is not the case, at least over here. Especially if you take a pillion on the Trident, Once the road becomes uneven, it kind of bottoms out as well. So I'm assuming since the Tiger and the Tiger badge is associated with this particular bike, the suspension will be redone. So if you work on the looks and the suspension and you include the positives of the Trident already, you have a really good overall package. You price it anywhere between the 7.5 and 8.5 lakh rupee margin, and you have a definite winner on your hands. Now, if you consider the Tiger 660's competition, you have the Versus, you have the CF Moto MT650, the V-Storm 650, and the CBR 500X. I'm not including the Benelli TRK 500X because it is in a way smaller price bracket. So these will be the four competitors for the Tiger 660. So let's not talk about the CB500X because it has already been beaten by the Versus 650, and frankly it's not even close to what the Tiger 660 will be. You have the Versus, V-Storm. The CF Moto basically is a brand that has come from China. The entire bike is based on the Versus 650. Theoretically, it kind of produces a little more power than the Versus 650, but again, it's not a proven brand in India, and not many people would be interested in purchasing this particular brand, even though it is to a certain extent cheaper than the Versus. So let me concentrate on these two brands, the Kawasaki and the Suzuki. The Suzuki is a proper off-road oriented bike. It's a proper adventure bike. You get button tires, you get spoked wheels, you get a suspension tuned for off-roading. The only issue with the Suzuki, only two issues with the Suzuki. Number one, it is kind of overpriced. I do not know why. And number two, since it's a Suzuki, even though it's going to be very reliable, the amount of service centers are extremely limited. So let's keep the Suzuki aside. Since it's Versus and Tiger 660, we'll be comparing apples with apples because both of them are road-biased bikes. The Tiger has a 17-inch tire in the front and the rear. Now, with reference to looks, the Tiger, since it'll be an absolutely fresh model in the market, and the Versus has been basically using the same looks year after year, just changing the graphics a bit, I feel that'll be a benefit on the Tiger's end. With reference to the suspension, again, cannot comment on that. With reference to the engine, for a fact, even if you consider the Trident's engine current in its current state of tune, it will outbeat the Versus because as I mentioned, it is versatile and it is far more fun on the highways. I've ridden the Ninja 650 and the Trident on the highway, and there is a certain amount of comfort level that the Trident engine provides post 120 kilometers. Obviously, the Trident didn't have a windshield, so that was an issue, but the engine is capable to take you anywhere between 140 150 kilometers all day if there's a certain amount of wind blast protection, and that's where the Tiger 660 comes in. So with reference to the engine, I'm pretty sure the Tiger's engine will outbeat the Versus 650 engine. So number four, with reference to the exhaust, the Versus just doesn't have the grunt of the inline three-cylinder engine, and you can't blame it because it's basically an inline twin-cylinder engine. And the only good inline twin-cylinder engines in India are produced through Benelli. So number five, with reference to the feel. Now the problem with the Versus is it's a very well-built bike. It's a bike that will take you from Bombay to Ladakh and back without any issue. But this is a very personal opinion. I don't know, it just feels a little bland. You don't feel connected with the bike as much as I would feel with a Trident, because the Trident feels more connected to you. Again, this is a very personal opinion. But I feel the Tiger will have more character as opposed to the Versus. And the last and most important point, and I'm not only talking of the Versus, I'm talking about all the bikes in the 600cc category, is the service cost. Now, most of these bikes in this category either have to be serviced between 6 to 7,000 kilometers or within 6 months. The Trident 660cc engine has to be serviced either 16,000 kilometers or 1 year duration. That talks a lot with reference to the engine reliability and how the engine has been built by Triumph. It's a solid engine. So number one, you right then and there you split your after sales service cost by half because you do not have to service the Tiger 660 as regularly as you would for say the Versus 650. Other aspect of Triumph in general as a brand, they do not only introduce reasonably priced products, but with reference to the after sales service cost as well, they are pretty reasonable. If you consider Honda introduces the products at exorbitant costs, but the service cost is pretty reasonable. Triumph, on the other hand, they introduce products at reasonable cost, and the service intervals are reasonable, and the service cost is reasonable. So the overall ownership experience will be pretty pleasant, and you will not have to break your bank balance every time your bike has to go to the service center. So if you consider all of these aspects, the plus points of the Trident, the negative points of the Trident where the Tiger 660 has compensated for, the service cost of Triumph, and the initial cost that we are anticipating should be around the 8 lakh rupee margin, I feel this will definitely be one of the best selling 600cc bikes in India. So this is just my opinion. I'm just as excited as you to take a test ride of the bike and feel it myself. But at least till now, theoretically, the bike outbeats the competition on paper. So that's all from my end, and I look forward for seeing you in my other videos. If you have any comments, I look forward for hearing from your end as well. Thank you.